Welcome back. You know, if you've ever watched a symphony orchestra perform, you quickly realize the magic isn't just in the sheet music. It comes from dozens of highly trained musicians, all playing their highly specific parts in absolute perfect harmony. Well, a successful project operates the exact same way. It takes more than just a brilliant strategy. It takes a perfectly tuned team to actually execute it. So in today's explainer, we're going to completely dissect the anatomy of exactly how that team is built, layer by layer.
Let me ask you something. What do you think truly drives a project across the finish line? Is it an endless budget? Maybe some flawless, cutting-edge software tool? Look, those things definitely help, but the real secret always lies in assembling the right people. You could literally have the best plan in the world, but without clear roles, it's really just words on a page.
And that brings us to our core definition. A project team is a cross-functional group of individuals brought together, each with their own unique skills and responsibilities to achieve a specific goal within a defined schedule. Today, we're using what we call the anatomy method. We are going to dissect these vital roles from the inside out, starting right at the core leadership, moving into the execution engine, and exploring all the way out to the wider organizational orbit.
Here is our roadmap for the explainer. First, we'll look at the backbone of project success, then core project leadership roles, followed by the project execution engine. After that, we'll cover specialists and support functions, the wider project ecosystem, and finally, empowering your project team. Section 1. The backbone of project success, establishing the core. Every project, no matter how innovative or exciting, absolutely needs a solid, unshakable backbone to prevent total chaos. Why? Because 70% of projects fail. Really let that sink in for a second. Without the right people and a clear structure, you are statistically likely to fail. This is exactly why understanding responsibility frameworks, like the RACI matrix, which stands for Responsible, Accountable, Consulted, and Informed, is absolutely crucial for your project's survival. It's the only way to ensure everyone knows exactly where they stand. Section 2. Core project leadership roles, the conductor and the producer. Going back to our symphony metaphor, think of the project sponsor as the executive producer who's funding the show, and the project manager as the orchestra conductor, making sure everyone is playing on tempo. Let's dive into how these two differ. The project sponsor is all about the why. They sit at the executive level, tying the project to high-level strategic initiatives, securing the funding, and acting as the ultimate decision maker. On the flip side, the project manager is entirely focused on the how. They are your boots on the ground, handling day-to-day operations, managing the schedule and budget, and guiding the team right through the trenches. Let's unpack those elaborate functions a bit more. The project manager handles the deeply tactical work, creating task breakdowns, actively mitigating risks for smoother progress, and allocating the necessary resources. Meanwhile, the project sponsor is focused on the big picture. They define the ultimate criteria for what project success even looks like. They approve the project budget, and they provide vital feedback and resources back to the project manager. Now, this leadership core often expands beyond just that immediate sponsor. You frequently have an executive sponsor who is the overall project owner and chief champion. And right below them, you'll find the steering committee. This is a group of senior executives representing various departments across the organization. They act as vocal champions, but more importantly, as elite roadblock removers. When your project manager hits a massive wall they just can't climb, the steering committee brings in the heavy machinery to knock it down. Looking even closer at the project manager's specific duties, you quickly realize it is a massive job. They aren't just checking off boxes on a list. They are reviewing and approving all deliverables, working hand in hand with change managers to develop readiness plans, escalating critical issues up to the sponsor when necessary, and constantly measuring the overall performance of the project. They keep all the stakeholders informed and ensure that functional decisions align perfectly with technical progress. Section 3. The project execution engine, the heartbeat of the work. Let's shift from the leadership guiding the project down to the vital organs, the team members who are the actual heartbeat of the work. Here are the foundational roles of your execution engine. First up, the resource manager. They identify the right staff, allocate schedules, and carefully monitor utilization so absolutely no one gets burnt out. Next is the business analyst. They are your data gatherers, defining technical requirements and making sure the project actually solves the business's needs. And finally, the project team members, the developers, designers, and engineers. They're the ones executing the tasks, collaborating cross-functionally, and producing the actual deliverables. But you know, managing all those people isn't exactly glamorous.
Project management expert Adriana Girdler summed it up perfectly when she said there's, quote, a little bit of chasing, a little bit of babysitting that's going on. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. And she is absolutely spot on, which perfectly sets up our next vital role, a true unsung hero of the organizational structure.
Enter the project coordinator. They handle the nitty-gritty tactical execution that keeps the project moving forward. They assist with scheduling meetings, capturing detailed notes, and helping manage stakeholder involvement. Doing all of this frees up the project manager to actually remain strategic. And right alongside them, you have specialized execution roles, like the security and authorizations expert, who creates and maintains system security and user profiles. The execution engine truly requires both smooth coordination and deep technical precision to function. Section 4. Specialists and support functions, the virtuosos.
These folks are the virtuosos of our project orchestra. They bring deep, highly specific expertise to solve complex technical problems that generalists simply cannot handle. For instance, technical managers oversee the entire interface architecture, while system experts develop those complex system interfaces. Drilling down even further, system programmers are the ones deep in the code, designing, building, migrating, and conducting rigorous stress tests. Meanwhile, department process experts bring highly specific business insight to identify security requirements and clearly define test case scenarios.
But here's the thing, building the product is only half the battle. People actually have to know how to use it. That's exactly where end-of-life cycle roles come into play. The end-user training expert develops comprehensive training materials and hosts live information sessions, while the documentation expert develops critical assets like quick reference cards. Without these virtuosos ensuring user adoption, even a technically flawless project is going to fail in the real world. Section 5. The wider project ecosystem, orbiting the core. Now we are zooming all the way out to the outer orbit to look at the wider ecosystem of stakeholders and customers. Ultimately, these are the people who decide if the project is a massive triumph or a complete waste of time. This ecosystem includes a very diverse range of voices. First, you have stakeholders, literally anyone with a vested interest, from financial investors all the way to regulatory bodies. Then, you have the customer, or the end user. They receive the final deliverable, and their direct input is exactly what ensures the project is tuned perfectly to meet actual real-world needs. Finally, you have change management consultants, who are tasked with planning user engagement and guiding the behavioral shifts necessary to actually embrace the new project. When we look closer at a change management or readiness consultant, their responsibilities are incredibly deep. They develop critical stakeholder information documents, plan for user engagement throughout the entire project lifecycle, and clearly define the user acceptance test approach. Essentially, they ensure that end-user issues aren't treated as an afterthought, but are actively addressed from day one.
Section 6. Empowering your project team, tuning the orchestra.
So, how do we take all these disparate roles, all these overlapping matrices from sponsors down to technical specialists, and actually tune the orchestra so they deliver high-impact work? Well, here are 5 crucial steps for structuring and empowering a truly successful team. First, define your goals and scope immediately, so absolutely everyone knows what success looks like. Second, identify and assign the right roles based on specific skills, not just whoever happens to have free time. Third, clarify those responsibilities early on, using that RISI framework we talked about to prevent duplicate work and messy territorial conflicts. Fourth, establish open, completely transparent communication channels. And fifth, never forget to recognize hard work and celebrate those big wins. Consistent feedback, both constructive and positive, is what keeps the whole engine running smoothly.
We've covered a tremendous amount of ground today, thoroughly dissecting the anatomy of a project team, from the core leadership all the way out to the wider ecosystem. So I want to leave you with a final thought. Take a hard look at your own organizational teams. Are your project roles clearly defined, with matrices mapping out exactly who does what? Or are you just assembling a group of smart people and sort of hoping for the best? Remember, structure isn't about micromanagement. It's about giving your people the clarity they desperately need to truly shine. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.